What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So I am excited for this teaser trailer. It's not that long, a little over a minute, just like normal teaser trailers would be. But we literally just spoke on this monster, the Ed Gein Story. I believe this is going to be their season 3 of this anthology series. We literally just spoke on this last week when they released the posters for this, and I think they released, if I remember correctly, it was 3 posters that they dropped for this with that green hue to them. I thought the posters looked great. If you don't know who Ed Gein is, and you're a horror fan, I'd be a bit surprised because his story has inspired various films. Predominantly, I would think the closest one lining up would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Again, if you don't know his story, just Google it, read about him. It's absolutely crazy what this individual did. Again, think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where this person was a grave robber, was taking human skin, making lampshades, making cereal bowls out of their skulls. I mean, he was that type of person, right? And I think the situation with his mother didn't help, and I think that's where they tie back the linkage to the inspiration for Psycho. His mother was just one of those ones that treated him and his brother very poorly, kept them very secluded. So again, if you don't know the story of Ed Gein, go take a look at it. It's more on the true crime aspect versus true horror. But again, the story has inspired various horror films. So I've been excited to see this because we haven't seen too many movies, TV series that specifically focus directly on Ed versus, again, his story inspiring other films or other franchises. So again, we have the teaser trailer, which, as you see here, introduces Charlie Hunnam as the real life Leatherface. So as we always do, we're going to get into the article details, then we're going to pull up the teaser trailer. I have high hopes for this teaser trailer. I'm hoping it's not just we're going to see the camera move throughout an empty house, and then we're just going to see, Charlie Hunnam as the character, and then that's it, right? I'm hoping we see a bit more than that. All right, let's get into it. All right, so I imagine this is him. I say Charlie playing Ed because, he's wearing somebody's face, and it looks like he's wearing a dress. Could be his mom's dress. And again, that's where that inspiration for Psycho was taken. So maybe. All right, let's get into it. Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's true crime anthology series returns with third season. Okay, it is the 3rd season. Monster, the Ed Gein Story, this October, and the official teaser trailer has arrived. Charlie Hunnam will be playing the role of Ed Gein in Monster, the Ed Gein Story, which will premiere on October 3rd, 2025. So we are just under a month away from this dropping on Netflix. All right, so here's the official synopsis for the Netflix series. In the frozen fields of the 1950s rural Wisconsin, a friendly, mild-mannered recluse named Eddie Gein lived quietly on a decaying farm, hiding a house of horrors so gruesome it would redefine the American nightmare. Driven by isolation, psychosis, and an all-consuming obsession with his mother, Gein's perverse crimes birthed a new kind of monster that would haunt Hollywood for decades. Okay, so let's talk about some of the films. Yeah, so I knew Psycho and Texas Chainsaw was an inspiration. So from Psycho to Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Silence of the Lambs, which I didn't know that one had pulled inspiration from it. Gein's Marquette legacy gave birth to fictional monsters born in his image and ignited a cultural obsession with the criminally deviant. Ed Gein didn't just influence a genre, he became the blueprint for modern horror. All right, so we have more people who are starring in this and who they're playing. Yeah, a long list of who's in this one. Okay, we're going to keep going. We have the trailer, so it's a minute 42. Actually, it's a lot longer than I thought. Okay, so I must have just looked at a different timestamp. But yeah, that's a minute 42, so almost the full-length trailer. Happy to see that, because usually teasers, when someone's able to teaser, it can be anywhere from the shortest we've seen is 22 seconds, and usually it's about a minute 10. So we're getting an extra 30 some seconds here, 30 to 40 seconds, which is good. And then the poster, which this is one of the posters that we reviewed last week which again, as I said, of all the posters, get rid of this nonsense down here only on Netflix October 3rd. But Netflix does this on all their stuff. I just think it looks horrible. And take this up here and move it to the bottom. Other than that, this is, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be using a chainsaw in the film, but when we looked at these posters in the original article, this was more of an homage, like a callback to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is why he had the chainsaw in his hand. So, all right, so I think that was the end of the article. Yeah, they didn't put the other two posters in here, just the one. All right, so let's get back to the top as we always do. Now let's pull up the official new teaser trailer for Monster, the Ed Gein Story, starring Charlie Hunnam.
What shocks you most about him? How did he do it? What was his childhood like? Now, I'd like to show you something worse.
You're working too fast.
I'm sorry, Mother.
Just go slow and steady. Take your time, sweet boy.
Let's go. That is a great first. I mean, that's a great teaser, and I'm glad they gave us. So looking at the timestamp, it's actually not a minute 41 because it goes on to just the advertisement of Netflix, which is a good almost 20 seconds. So that was about a minute and 23. So more closely to the traditional of a teaser. Now, as I mentioned, you saw, if you were paying attention, you would have seen when the cops were first entering the house, you saw the lampshade. That lampshade was skin. It was stitched together. So they're already exposing us right to that. And as they're moving throughout the house, we saw when they were holding, one of the police officers was holding up the magazines. I think some of them was like Master Detective, and he had 3 of them. I saw Master Detective. I didn't see the names for the others. But if you looked in the background, it would have been off to the right-hand side over his left shoulder. You saw the skin from like the waist down to the ankle of like the full legs hanging on a clothesline, and it would also appear to be like the torso hanging from a clothesline inside the house. And then we moved over, the scene then changes to like a shelf where all these like canned like jars are, like canned goods, like people would jar like jams or preserves, things of that nature, which is typical for Midwest, East Coast type people would do canned goods for like the winter time. We saw various human faces on, I didn't count how many there were. I think there might have been like 5 or 6 at least different faces, and they were like sitting on top of the jars, like the jars were keeping them like upright. And then we saw two officers holding up the dress that appeared he was wearing in that one scene where he puts the face on. But we saw that dress a couple times. We saw the 2 cops holding it up, and one of them was covering his mouth with a cloth, as if there was a smell, obviously, that they could smell, which could have just been all the human skin lying around everywhere. But just the simple fact that they're showing the dress, and then we saw a very quick scene. I'd imagine it could have been his mother, or it could have just been somebody else. I think it was the person, because we saw him digging a grave and then carrying a body. I think it was the same dress, because then we saw a woman laying on a table in that dress. So I'm thinking that's where it came from. I don't think it's necessarily his mother's. Then we saw, again, as the police officers are moving about, they open up this cabinet from the top up, and then they found more human skin. Couldn't make out if it was like a face like they were pulling out, but it was definitely human skin. We jump to the scene where he's grave robbing digging up a grave, and then it kind of did a lot of cutscenes from that point. He was rubbing some sort of like white milky substance on somebody, and again, I don't know if the body he was taking out from the grave was that woman that was on the table in that dress. It could have been. I couldn't make out if it was in fact. That would be my assumption. We see as the trailer ends where the Psycho inspiration comes, where he's hearing, where the mother's voice is echoed as if he's the only one hearing it. It's part of his imagination, and I think that's where the inspiration for that Psycho used from, if that's in fact what he was hearing, like his mother is in fact dead and he's just hearing her voice. And again, if you've ever seen, because we don't see his mother in that scene, and the fact that her voice is echoing like it was, makes me believe the mom is dead at this point in his life, because she did die at a point in his life, and then he's just hearing it. Trailer ends with him putting on the faces, which we saw in that scene, and then again he's wearing that dress. So the way the trailer is cut, it looks like at the beginning where the cops are finding him, that's going to be more towards probably the latter episodes, and then what we saw further on into the trailer would be more of the beginning episodes, unless they're going to be doing flashbacks, like with the cops. Like say episode 1, they find him, they find his house, and then as the story progresses, they just do flashbacks to, and then that's how the story progresses, and we keep flashing backwards and forwards. So either way, I am looking forward to this series. I've been looking forward to this one ever since it was announced that they were going to be doing the Ed Gein story, and the fact that Charlie was going to play him. I was a little hesitant on Charlie playing this character because it's not necessarily in his wheelhouse of what he's done more recently in his career. So I think this will be an opportunity for him to show his range versus what many people know him for, right? I mean, I think the vast majority of people know him for the Sons of Anarchy. I mean, he's been in a lot of other things. I think he was in in his early days. He was he's been in various like British miniseries, TV series. I mean, I think he was also in one of his early films, like Green Street Hooligans. He was in a recent one with Guy Ritchie did. The Gentleman, I think it was called, which he was great in that. It was more of a supporting role. But yeah, very excited to see this one. Again, let me get the date for this. This drops, let me go back to the article, get the date, October 3rd on Netflix. It didn't say though, I'm scanning through the article, it doesn't say when, I mean not when, but how many episodes this will be, and doesn't say if this will be an all on day one. Like, are they going to give us all the episodes on day one, which for something like this, I imagine they will. So anyways, that's going to do it for this trailer review of the teaser for Monster, the Ed Gein Story, being considered as season 3, a part of this anthology series, again starring Charlie Hunnam. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the teaser, and if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Later.